All right, what are we doing?
We're just defining everything. Our roles, our meaning in life, our relationship.
Oh God.
Kinks, what people need to know, the important stuff, acronyms.
Oh my God.
Like for instance, DAD as an acronym means...
Daddy.
No, DAD, D-A-D.
Daddy.
That's one word.
How would you make an acronym for dad if... Oh, for D-A-D?
I didn't think it was that complicated a question. But now I'm realizing it might have been.
Dinosaurs are dangerous.
There you go. Oh, you know, that old kink term, dinosaurs are dangerous. When you have the top that wants to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yes.
And you are...
And they're T-Rexing it with their flogger.
They're gonna T-Rex your hole.
Well, I thought you were saying make an acronym for the word dad.
Oh God, we haven't even gotten to the acronyms yet, and he already doesn't know what an acronym is. It's gonna be a perfect episode for you.
This is not going to be acrimonious. That's for sure.
I do love spelling it out, though. Roll the opening.
Hello!
Welcome back to
What's Safeword?
I'm Amp.
I'm Mr. Christopher.
And today,
We...
they're spelling it out. As an acronym, what is AMP?
AMP. A... Mousy...
I mean, no,
Person.
No, really?
A mousy
You
person.
went with person for P?
What? Pig. Puppy. A mousy puppy. This is worse than ad-libs. You know I hate games.
Well, then you're gonna love today's episode, which is all about defining and telling you guys important words that exist in the kink community. Now, our job on a weekly basis, I say job, we have fun, is literally spelling it out for you, telling you what kinks are, what they mean, how they work. But what we generally don't do is literally list things from the ground up. We kind of do assume sometimes that you guys know what certain acronyms and definitions are. And you know what assuming does, Daddy, right?
Makes an ass out of you and me.
See, look at you. That's kind of, yeah, no, good job. You do pay attention.
LOL.
Which stands for?
Laugh out loud. OMG. Oh my God. WTF. Why the face?
With it being 2022, I figured now was a better time than ever to literally spell it out for you. So today, I asked you guys on Twitter for acronyms or words that are important to the kink community that everybody should know. And today's episode is in response to that. So we're gonna start out with the surface level kink words.
Okay.
And then get into the more finite or maybe more obscure terms people don't know, like acronyms and whatnot.
Okay.
So Daddy, what is, right off the bat, what is a term that you think every kinkster should know?
Compersion.
Ooh, I like that one, which means what?
The opposite of jealousy and being happy for your partner.
So that's a fun term that I think that's kind of a varsity level term. Lots of people don't really know what that is.
I'm varsity.
But that also brings up varsity level kinks, which are any kink that is a bit more out there, requires a bit more skill, background. Like, what is a varsity level kink?
Edge play.
Edge play? Yeah. Well, that's a whole other definition in itself. What is edge play? I love this game.
Jesus Christ.
It's like a child saying, why? Why? Why?
You
Why?
are like a child saying why.
Why?
Edge play is play when you're at the very end of a cliff.
You play Lady Gaga, I'm on the edge of glory,
Yes.
and you just kink.
Edge play is things that could potentially be harmful if done wrong.
And generally are the more varsity level things. But like when we approach this conversation, you can't talk about kink without like defining what a kinkster is or talking about what BDSM stands for. Like BDSM, a lot of people in the kink community don't even, like I've actually asked this question at judging events before when I was a judge for a contest. I asked the person what BDSM stood for. And there was one contest where all 5 of the contestants didn't answer the question properly.
Answer the question, Claire!
And there's nothing wrong with not knowing all of these words, but I think that's why this refresher course is very important because I bet you Daddy doesn't know some of them. What is BDSM?
Buddies doing social media. We literally have a shirt.
Well,
No, bondage, discipline, sadomasochism, and masochism.
correct. Now I will also accept bondage, domination, submissive, masochism, like any of the, like you can switch some of them out and it still counts. Masochism and sadomasochism both revolving around like pain, but masochism is when you like doing pain to yourself, whereas sadism is when you like doing it to other people.
Or receiving it yourself, masochism. Like me on this show every week.
I feel like I go through a little bit more pain, at least emotionally.
Huh, let's sip the tea on that.
Or how about just the term consent? a lot of people still, even in the thread of questions that I put up, a lot of people were just yelling the word consent because apparently, even though it's not really taught in our school systems, it's a word that people are still very confused by. How would you define consent?
Consent is giving permission to do something to you.
And consent is something that can also change throughout your conversations and negotiations. It can change in the midst of, before, or even during a scene. Maybe you're doing great and then all of a sudden, let's pull back. Let's stop with the spanking. I need to take that consent back. Not that you've done anything wrong. It's off the table now.
I'm not feeling it now.
Yeah. Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it
now, Mr. Krabs?
I'm feeling a warm spot. Sorry.
But then there's also enthusiastic consent. So like, where consent's like, yeah! Enthusiastic consent would be,
Yeah! I did that good.
can you take that back, please? Take that enthusiastic.
Yeah!
Ooh, I like this though. Every term that we're giving has like tangential terms to it. So like, I just used one, which is negotiation. Negotiation.
Imagination.
Negotiation, though, when we talk about consent, you also negotiate a scene before it even happens, which is where you say what's on the table, what's off the table, what you're into, and you get that kind of first, it's like a job interview.
Yeah, I find out buzzkills, if you have any injuries I need to be made aware of. Do you need to go home? Ever?
Or actual limits. And those are other things that we need to talk about as well. Limits, when you're negotiating and kind of vetting that person, are things that are on the table as far as play and off the table. And there's what are called hard limits, which are things that are, no, not doing it, not into it. For me, that's like fisting, poo, blood, generally. Do you have any hard limits that are kind of different than that?
Karaoke.
That's your hard limit?
Yeah, I just
A
don't
specific
like it.
song or genre?
I just don't
or-
like it.
But like Titanic songs?
Especially while I'm tying you up, don't sing. No.
Where-
No. Not consensual.
Next on the list of terms was frenzy. Do you know what frenzy is?
Ah! That's you every day. Frenzied. Ah! Are they puppy friends?
No.
Frenzies?
No. Frenzy, also known as scene rush or even newbie excitement, is this energy where you are new to a scene or maybe new to a kink and you really, really want to get into it in such a way that you might actually avoid or not see red flags or... And it should be something that we should talk about because frenzy is not a bad thing necessarily. It shows excitement, it shows wanting to do something, but it has a double-edged sword of then throwing some of your morals or maybe your vetting styles out the window because you're so, not desperate, but focused, hyper-focused on that scene, that person, that thing that
And you want it over and over and over. And it actually can become annoying.
Wow. Some might say that frenzy gets you in some hot water, or maybe some open water, where you will then find sea life in the form of sponsorships. Today's sponsor is Surfshark.
I figured that one out. Thank you.
I mean, we didn't always have nice, useful, informative YouTube shows. Daddy, how did you ever find out about terminology back in your day?
I had to go to the library and pick up an encyclopedia
Oh my God.
and read it. They were called books.
What's that?
Reading is hard.
Thankfully, today we have the internet, but there is a double-edged sword to that as well, almost an internet frenzy, some might say,
Oh.
where you start looking into things, but you're doing so on maybe an open connection or in a computer that might be shared with other people. This is why you need something like Surfshark, which is a VPN, which stands for, speaking of acronyms,
Very pretty network. Virtual private network.
there we go, and I didn't even have to hurt him on camera. I mean... They got 24/7 customer support. You get 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like the services. And I mean, we know a thing about servicing. Surfshark not only keeps your data private, but it allows you to surf the web with ease and securely. And if safety isn't enough for you, it's also the main way that I am getting around and watching RuPaul's Drag Race without paying for extra subscriptions.
Same. And the way that I'm able to use Netflix to get certain movies from other countries.
They're an award-winning VPN, and if you would like to hit your own deal down below, Daddy, what can they do?
Use offer code WATTS at the link down below.
You'll get 83% off and 3 months for free with your 2-year deal. So try out Surfshark VPN, which again, VPN is actually an acronym, which stands for...
Virtual private network.
Oh, thank God he knows that one, because I'm about to quiz you on a few more new words!
Woohoo!
You you sound excited, but I don't think you are. There's a lot of concern behind that.
Wow!
And there were even some words in that thread that I had to take a second and be like, wait, what is that? And when I looked into the words, I knew what they were, I just didn't call them that. And I think that's what's interesting about terminology, definitions even, is that different parts of our community use different words that mean the same thing. For instance, a safe call. What would you think that is?
Safe word.
No.
Telling your friends who you're with when you're hooking up with a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's also known as a silent alarm, a fail-safe, something that you can fall back on if something bad happened and you weren't maybe in control of a situation. So like back in my day, when I was first getting involved with kink, I didn't have one of these. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't even think about it. But it's like texting daddy if I'm gonna go play with someone and be like, here's my location, this is the person, this is where I met them. If you don't hear from me in the next couple hours, make sure you get a search party out. This might be a place where the next term that someone brought up, protocol, might come into play as well.
Protocols. I love protocols.
And that one's an older term that maybe a lot of newer players won't understand, but what is a protocol, Daddy?
Protocols are rules that you put in place in your dynamic for your sub to follow that makes Daddy really happy.
I feel like that last part might be a little more specific, but yeah, they're like old school ways to say pretty much a rule that you have to follow.
Our guard classic.
Sure, they're classic rules
Classic rules.
that keep you on guard.
Not old. Classic.
Within negotiation talk, a word that kept coming up was vetting, which
vetting.
is really important, and it's a lost art in some ways. Like,
I mean, how else are you going to get your shots if we don't go to the vet, puppy?
this is when you learn if their bark is worse than their bite. Vetting is where you literally sit down with someone, or maybe it's digital now because we have these app things, where you figure out if the person has any red flags. And if you're looking for red flags or green flags, we got episodes for that too. Like, is there something specific that you look for when you're vetting someone?
So when I vet someone, I just ask them basically what their experience level is, who they've played with before, and where they want to go.
That's fair. And for me, I usually ask people what their interests are and what their kinks might be and how they even got into this scene. Like, the background of someone as you're vetting them is important, I think, because it tells you a lot about someone and maybe even their own general style and how they play.
Do you like doing dishes? Do you like cleaning the house? These are all very important questions to ask. No?
Yeah.
Do you know how to cook?
Well, that is certainly quite the predicament. In fact, predicament came up as well. People don't know a lot about predicaments in scenes. What is that? What
So
is that?
predicament, especially predicament bondage, is being put in a situation where if one action causes another reaction. So like you could be tied in a certain way that if you lifted your head, it's gonna pull on something else.
Newton would love this.
It's the laws of physics.
Yeah. So imagine you have, like a head harness or even something attached to, your genitals. It's also attached to your harness up here,
a
moving around.
Bucket, and Newton threw apples in the bucket.
What's the bucket attached to?
Your blueberries.
Essentially, a situation where there are causes and effects that might be uncomfortable but done intentionally. So a stressful position, which is this show every week. This is predicament.
This is predicament.
Right. And one that I know that we talk about all the time, but we don't define every time, is headspace.
What kind of headspace are you in right now?
I mean, a little predicament of a headspace, really. It's a place in which you feel a certain type of scene or space. And usually it's a comfortable level that you get into in order to get into a play. So like for me, when it's puppy play, I get into that puppy headspace and I'm able to then play into that scene.
And yeah, if you're a sub, kind of a relaxed headspace or a serving headspace. If you're a dom, you need to be in this headspace where you're taking control and you're gonna make the scene go in a certain direction.
Yeah, dom space, sub space. And it's that space, it's that zone. It's like when you're in the zone,
This is all you're thinking about right now is this scene, what is happening right now.
Within the thread of definitions and words that people thought everyone could learn from kink were a bunch of acronyms. Now, we use acronyms in our life to just make terminology easier, but honestly, sometimes it can cause confusion because much like Daddy not knowing what VPN stands for, it makes you question what those words actually mean. Now, in kink, there's tons of acronyms. Like, can you think of any off the top of your head?
CBT.
Which is?
Cock and ball torture.
Or cognitive behavioral therapy.
TT.
Torture?
LGBT. BLT.
Wait, that's bacon, lettus, tomato. That's
Oh, I know. Could we get one?
Well, if you add an L to it, then it's a lettuce, bacon, tomato.
And if you add everything else, it's plus.
Oh my god. There's two acronyms that generally most people will refer to when they talk about vetting. One being SSC, which stands for
Safe, sane, consensual.
and the other one being RAC.
Risk-aware, consensual kink.
Good job. But do you know about a third one that's very popular? Prick? What'd you call me? You heard me. Prick you.
Pretty intense cuckolding. I don't know, what is it?
Personal, responsible, informed, consensual kink. So it's kind of like RAC, but a step above.
That was 5 words. P-R-I-C-K.
I-C-K.
Oh, gotcha.
Acronyms do require spelling ability.
They should be 4 letters and less. An acronym that's over 4 letters, that's an orgy.
Well, Daddy, you might like this one then. The next one, fries,
Ooh, would that go with my LGBT?
which is another vetting sort of term, which stands for freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, specific.
Okay.
This was no, I
Too many words, again. Too many words. What is it? Freely
given.
enthusiast. Wait, no, you can't do G.
Freely given. It's
No.
one. It's like an
Freely given is not one word.
I'm telling you, I googled this. Fries was a term that Planned Parenthood actually came up with, and each one of the lines in fries stands for a different way in which consent and having a conversation about sex can be phrased.
Would you like to supersize that?
I would love to yes, please. Oh my god, a supersized fries? Oh, that sounds like a lot of really good communication. Getting hot and bothered over here. Now for me, acronyms in like LOL or TTYL all came from things like AIM and instant messaging. It helped us to create this shorthand, you know?
Actually, it kind of came even before that. Back in my day, we used to hook up through classified ads. And you had to pay per character for your classified ad.
Oh my god.
So you would have to shorten as much as you can to CBT, TT, FF, so you could get as much into your little personal classified ad. And then I think it got bigger over time with instant messaging.
Okay, so what were kind of some of your favorite shorthands?
Well, back in my day, they used VGL a lot, which meant very good looking, which to me was a big red flag. If you thought you were very good looking and had to put that in there, that's a red flag to me.
I mean, I hope everyone thinks they're very good looking, but also, yeah, that's a little pompous to say that, especially in a non-visual form
especially
of
when
dating.
you don't have a picture to back it up, because classified ads had no picture. And we talk about this in the On Guard episode we just did.
And actually, while we're talking about like the vetting acronyms, there was one I found, BORK.
Bork?
Mm-hmm.
Puppies bork all the time.
Well, maybe
Bork.
not, because it stood for balls out risky kink.
Oh.
So it was almost like a more dangerous version of RAC in a way.
Wow.
Where it was talking about how some people do have that informed nature to their kink, but it's always with a slight edge play to it.
And your balls out, apparently.
Well, you don't have to have balls to experience or enjoy pork, okay?
Bork, bork.
I'd never heard that one.
I'd never heard it
of
either.
prick, fries, or bork, which...
Which do not combine the 3.
Yeah, no, but could you imagine? Prick, fries, and bork. That's your dating profile. That's it.
And supersize it.
They think you're into puppy play, want some food, and maybe you're a little rude sometimes. You're a prick.
Why do you always look at me when you say that?
You're a prick. Damn it, there's a mirror right there. Or how about this fun one that came up in the thread? BYOT.
Bring your own
You're so close.
tits?
It's right on the tip of your tongue. Tongues are not.
Tongue.
No. Okay, think about it. T. What could the T stand for in a kink scene?
This is so hard.
You have an entire wall behind you of
Toys!
Yeah! Yeah!
Points!
That one refers to like play parties that are BYOT. You've heard of BYOB, bring your own booze.
Beer.
Or beer. Now BYOT should be a very useful term for all of those sex party havers out there. Which actually, yeah, just don't share toys generally with other people unless you're like fluid bonded. There's another term.
It could be BYOCT, bring your own clean toys.
Well, I hope they're clean. They should already be clean. No, don't bring dirty toys to a party or to anything. Clean your toys. Or how about ABDL? That one's actually really easy.
Oh, adult baby diaper lovers.
Correct. People that are into diapers. How about FF?
Fist fucking.
P&P?
Party and play.
We've talked about this before, which is generally not recommended. It's not good. It's people that are doing very heavy drugs, which we do not condone. But it is something that still pops up on dating apps all the time.
Mm-hmm. Especially if they do party with the capital T.
Oh, well, yeah, they spelled out party. I was like, P&P doesn't have a T in it. Acronyms are confusing.
And that's the T.
And that... Or how about NRE?
What is an NRE?
What do you think it is? I love this game. What do you think of NRE?
Never require envy. I don't know.
New relationship energy. People generally have that NRE when they first get involved with someone. It's kind of like that honeymoon period, however you want
Look
to call
how
it.
cute we are. We've been doing
we don't
NRE
have
for
that.
6-7 years now.
No, we don't have that anymore.
We just got the we got it.
I'm sorry, we have the what now?
I don't know.
The-
I'm short-circuiting.
And if you're short-circuiting, maybe you have TPE.
Ooh, is that like something syndrome? What, PSTD?
No.
Or PTSD?
No, we've broken daddy.
There's too many letters.
TPE sounds kind of like a chemical you'd find in a plastic.
Yeah.
But it's total power exchange,
Oh, okay.
which is a dynamic where you give over total control over to someone with consent. So it's a CNC. Actually, imagine not being in kink at all and watching this episode. We're just yelling words
Can
at
we
you.
use words again?
What is a word? Is this Wordle? Wordle? Have you seen Wordle? Everyone's seen
I
the
don't.
Wordle
I don't
thing.
even want to know what Wordle is.
Why
I
not?
just
What
see
is
the
it?
squares on everyone's
What you do is you put out
BRAT.
DADDY.
PUU. PU.
That's the wrong word for today's Wordle, y'all. So TPE, or total power exchange, is when you're in a relationship where you have CNC'd, maybe, consensual, non-consented, to giving the power to your partner that you are
let's
having
do
consent.
that.
No,
You should
I don't
give
like
me the
that.
power.
That's not
You
my
should-
No.
that
I'm in
that
charge
sounds
here.
good.
I'm in charge.
Yeah.
But TPE is just a type of relationship where CNC is a type of scene. And even though it's consensual non-consent, you are consenting and having a very informed conversation before what might be a very edge play sort of scene to giving away your consent to the person that's in charge because you trust them very, very deeply. Now,
But to make it complicated, you can take that back at any time.
well, that's true. Here's my TPE. Oh, just kidding.
No.
Well, you want the TPE? Oh, you're too slow. It's right here.
And that's called a BRAT.
Oh, and then this one was the only one that I was actually kind of surprised by, and I had never even considered, and it was SAM. SAM. I understand it because we use this terminology all of the time when we speak about new people at like kink conventions. What do you think SAM stands for?
Send me a meal.
You just, no, not all of them have to do with food.
Fries! Let's talk about it.
Now, when I was doing my research, SAM stood for stand and model.
Oh, well, that's what we used to say, that just S&M stood for stand and model.
Well,
We didn't
technically
need the
and
A.
starts with A.
I know, but we didn't need it because we did S&M. So
Which-
stand and model.
Which refers to...
Just standing around and modeling while you're at the bar, looking cute
And
flexing.
Oh. And I think it's generally used to refer to someone that people don't consider a real player, which has its own negative connotations to it. People that might have just bought brand new leathers, they want to look cute.
They're just dressed up in the leather. They don't know how to use it.
Yeah, but they might not understand the depth of and culture that goes around with the kink community. While Sam might be a negative, this is something that you could turn into a positive and like teach someone new.
I think Rihanna sang about this, didn't she?
Yeah, just Rihanna was talking about her friend Sam. But all that said, like, acronyms are a nice, important way in which we can kind of relay information in a smarter, more succinct way. But that doesn't mean that we need an acronym for everything. In fact, the last section of today's video, I want to talk about positions in the kink realm, because that was a lot of terminology that was brought up that people think is very important. Now, when I say positions, I'm not just talking about that Ariana Grande song. So, like, what are some positions that exist within the kink community?
Dom, sub.
That's it.
That's it.
Generally, people will talk about tops or doms, which are separate things but are kind of linked sometimes, and subs or bottoms. But again, you can be a submissive top or a dominant bottom. There's also topping from the bottom, which got brought up, which is, explain what topping from the bottom is.
Is the bottom who's constantly telling you how to do it.
Well, no, not like that though. Like explain it in such a way that makes sense to people. I was topping from the bottom.
And I'm giving you my daddy glare when you do that.
Well, I'm giving you my puppy eyes when you do that. How about a service top?
A service top, yes, I treat it like that all the time. It's when a sub treats the dom as their personal enjoyment center without giving anything back.
Daddy's a pretty good service top.
I don't like being a service top.
I didn't say you liked it, but I just said you were good.
I know, I like to give you enjoyment.
Generally, this is a top who is more focused on giving the bottom pleasure and what they want over the top's needs. But that doesn't mean that like the bottom's in control as much as the top's being considerate, I think sometimes.
And sometimes it's because the bottom's taking
Well,
control.
How about this one, which is both an acronym and a position in the community, a DM?
Dungeon Master.
Yeah, or monitor. And along with that, actually, the term spotter, which came up. I didn't actually know what it was, but a spotter is...
Someone who is kind of hovering around the scene, making sure that if something goes awry, that they can jump in there and do something about it.
Yeah, someone who's just surveying. They might not be the dungeon monitor or master, but there's someone that might help and just make sure the subs are being taken care of and everyone's being safe in the scene. And while we talked about tops and bottoms, we left out one particular position.
Verse.
Yes, or also known as...
Adverse.
No, you're adverse to a lot of things. A switch. A verse or a switch person, which is someone who tends to flux between sub and top, dom, bottom. They're all over the place. But what we're forgetting, so there's this like circle of, active dom subness. And then there's this person over here that we haven't even touched base on, which is called a side.
I'm giving you side eye right now.
No, different. A side actually refers to someone that doesn't like sexual penetration at all. So they're not being penetrated, they're not doing the penetrating, but they still might enjoy sex. That's something we haven't really talked about before.
No, I've never heard this.
It's a side topic.
But aside from that, we forgot one important word.
The safe word. And what is a safe word, Daddy?
A safe word is something that will stop the scene in case of an emergency.
For instance, today's safe word is...
HELP.
Just a little bit.
It's an
help.
It's
just
an
a little
acronym.
bit. Oh, is it? Oh, what does it stand for?
Help everyone live peacefully.
Oh, can you use an acronym in the acronym?
Oh, you lost me now. What?
You used help in help as an acronym. So I hope that these terms helped you in today's conversation. I thought this was just kind of a fun, interesting way for us to go over topics and words that don't need a full episode, but that we talk about so often. I think it helps. It helps for us to go over a glossary.
Yeah, but let's not overuse acronyms. Do you know how many times I've had to Google what the hell is LLC? What is...
In the kink scene? I've never heard of an LLC. What? An LLC?
So if there is any words we missed or acronyms we didn't cover, leave them in the comments below.
And hey, leave a like if you enjoyed and found this video educational.
And if you like ringing bells, ring a bell.
Which sounds like...
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
It wasn't a trick question.
I always feel like it's a trick question with you.
And don't forget to subscribe. We'll see y'all next time on What's a Safe Word.
Bye! What does the bell sound like?
Bing bong, ding dong. I don't know, whatever you want to sound like.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
There you go.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
What'd you call me?
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
Okay, now I'm being offended.
DAF. Daddy as fuck.
I didn't ask for an acronym for that.
I'm just giving you one.
Oh, okay.
Those are the acronyms people need to know. DAF.
I can hear your mouth moving.
Wait, what's the universal sign for? What was the sign for I'm in distress?
Yeah!